First, I want to say thank you, Radix. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Eric. It is an honor for me to be here with you guys. Uh, Christina, you've done so much to help out everybody. And Bill and Eric, you're two of the most solid dudes in this freaking nation, man. I just really appreciate to be able to be on this platform. And if it's okay, guys, I would like to just take I don't want to take forever, but I really want to take a couple of minutes on this. So, to the Attorney General, Dana Nessel, I want to thank you because all of us and the guys that are incarcerated for the better part of 5 years now have said that all of you are no more than liars, criminals, and corrupt thieves. And what did you do? What did the government do as a whole? They substantiated that case. They said that our guys said that Gretchen Whitmer didn't have the authority that she was wielding. The Michigan Supreme Court agreed with them. The guys said that the attorney general, the district attorney, the governor, there were that Michigan was just completely saturated with corruption. And sure enough, every time you guys open your mouths, you prove those guys correct.
My hope that he doesn't go forward with that. Prosecutors said the men also plotted to kill her in 2020, even surveilling one of her homes, and practiced the detonation of explosives. But Trump is now downplaying all of this.
It looked to me like somewhat of a railroad job. I'll be honest with you. It looked to me like some people said some stupid things. You know, they were drinking, and I think they said stupid things.
Out front now, the Democratic Attorney General.
Yes, I mean, yeah, he's right. What he said is correct, and she's wrong. Nobody was accused of trying to kill her, okay? That's what she said when she gleefully announced that, you know, these arrests had been made and that she was a victim, but nobody was charged with, like, attempted murder. And so this is, again, how this narrative constantly evolves as far as, like, the recons. Again, she picked that. She coordinated these recons with the FBI, with the Michigan State Police, with the DOJ. And so I don't know how this is somehow making her a victim because she helped plan something.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, but when they tried this with a Hunter militia on the other side of the state, they tried to get them to do like kill up or something, and that got thrown out because of that. So they had to push, instead of killing somebody, they had to get kidnapping charges, only even to try to get this case going.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's right. So it's just all nonsense. This entire narrative is false, and they know it.
Who prosecuted 8 suspects in this plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. And Attorney General, I really appreciate your time and having you on because, you know, Trump is saying this is just stupid things, that the people who plotted to kidnap your governor were just drinking and they were just saying stupid things. What do you say to that?
First of all, look at that face. She's got nothing behind the eyes, and she's doing this scowl. Her lips are so thin. This is a desperate woman. This is a woman who knows that if these men are pardoned, if an investigation is done into this case, her crimes, the crimes her office committed, will be exposed. So she has a self-interest here. And mind you, she also claimed to be a victim herself at one point. So why she's even speaking about this is beyond me.
Well, first of all, let's be clear. This is not just a kidnapping plot. They weren't going to kidnap her and then play, you know, a game of euchre with her. They were going to murder her. This was an assassination plot.
But it was not. That's not what it was. It wasn't even a kidnapping plot. And let's not forget how one of the stories here of what was going to happen at the federal trial was that the prosecution, the federal government, they argued that they were going to do an amphibious assault on her vacation cottage, coming in on a boat with a team of like 8 operators. They were going to somehow subdue her security detail, get her into a boat in the middle of winter in Lake Michigan, and take her across the lake. They were either going to drive her in the middle of the lake and then leave her there to inconvenience her security detail. That was one of the stories. They were going to just leave her in the middle of Lake Michigan and inconvenience her. So that's not a assassination plot. Or the other story was that they were going to somehow go from Michigan across the lake to Wisconsin, where they were going to put on a citizen's arrest and so-called mock trial. And the substance of this was Adam talking about, oh yeah, wouldn't it be funny if we did like a citizen's arrest on her? We hogtied her to a table and we all stood around posing like we did the world's biggest drug bust. This is not a serious conversation. This is literally just Adam being goofy. So I think the whole thing is silly.
It's funny when they brought it up in our trial. What people don't realize is her place isn't on Lake Michigan. Her place is on a lake. I forget what the lake is. So you would have to take her across the lake,
up by
and then
Rapids.
and then take her out of the lake and put her into the other lake to take her out. When I heard the story for the first time in court, I was like, "What the hell are you even talking about?"
How is this going to work? Well, don't forget, there was talk, of course, about commandeering the airspace, and Sean Fix said he had access to Black Hawk helicopters and a Huey, and apparently there was going to be some kind of, I don't know how this would work, but the helicopter was going to intercept with a boat, and somehow they'd get her in a helicopter maybe, and then how many people can fit in a helicopter? Is the helicopter going to make it to Wisconsin? How is this whole thing going to work? Is there going to be another boat? So they're going to take her from one lake to the other lake? What? Like, none of it makes sense. And that's why I couldn't even believe that this went to trial to begin with.
Well, this is the exact reason why they had to have Sean Fix plead guilty, and then we weren't allowed to talk about Sean Fix anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Right, which, is one of the things too. There's so much stuff that didn't come out at trial that is not in the trial record. It's upsetting, that there's so much people don't know about.
But their convictions were not based on words. They were based on actions. And actually, the prosecutors in these cases presented more than 14 concrete, specific actions, including setting up kill houses.
That was the FBI. The FBI
Absolutely.
set up kill houses. They purchased the materials. They constructed them. Special Agent Mark Schweers testified at the federal trial on cross-examination by Julia Kelly, the lawyer for Daniel Harris, that he helped construct the shoot house at Cambria. Roby purchased the materials. And by the way, the FBI was the ones that led the training. They were the ones that decided to make the training more tactical when they first infiltrated the Wolverine Watchmen. They were like a prepping group that was shooting in their backyard. It was Dan Chappell who introduced more of like structure and introduced the concept of the shoot houses. And how this was presented, by the way, was not like, oh, we're going to be practicing for taking out the governor. These shoot houses are used in this kind of training, in militia training and self-defense training, and the whole point was like learning how to clear a room. And part of the reason that they were selling this to people of why we should do this is because of the riots that were happening at the time, because these rioters were going into neighborhoods, in residential neighborhoods. They were pulling people out of cars. They were burning cities to the ground. They were lighting police departments on fire, and law enforcement was standing down doing nothing. And the FBI kept pushing this idea that a civil war is going to happen, or there's going to be some kind of civil conflict. No matter what happens after the election, no matter who gets elected, something bad's going to happen, and you need to be prepared to defend your home if this comes to your home.
I don't know. The more I hear about our lives, it's a movie that I was scripted in, and I didn't get a script to it because it's ridiculous. But
when she said that, like, we idolized, what was it, BLM, Al Qaeda, and ISIS and whatnot, and like we were the furthest thing from that. You and I was talking earlier, and I told you the only thing Like none of us were pro Al Qaeda or ISIS, that's for darn sure. And this is just from what little interaction I had with these people. Like I said, none of us really knew each other. But the thing about BLM, the only thing that was said that could be misconstrued as positive was when we were, any of us talked about standing up for people's rights to protest, free speech and your right to assembly. And that even stood, like, we believed in that for BLM as well. We didn't believe in what they stood for, not even freaking close, but there was no way we were going to let anybody put their hands on them unwarrantedly either. So anytime any of us were doing security or whatnot, we were always there for everybody who was doing things the right way. Limited government, self-reliance, self-sufficiency.
Yeah, I mean, it was the same thing. And like you were saying, Eric, we didn't know each other. And the fact that they could take pictures of us at rallies where some of us were actually invited there to work security to an open rally, and then there's thousands of people there, and you might have been in the crowd and I never even talked to you before, or the watchmen were in the crowd and I hadn't talked to them before, and suddenly we're in the same place, so we must be together. And let's not forget that Mike and I never met the watchmen, never even been to Jackson County, and for 4 years we've been called the Watchmen Twins. Like we were a part of the group and we had never met them.
Nessel said that we loved everything that the president opposes. And that was basically how she left it. And she did that as though we were not supposed to be able to see through the fact that these people are scrambling. Dana Nessel is scrambling. The DA is scrambling. The governor is scrambling. They're all scared to death that Donald Trump and Ed Martin are going to do the right things and pardon and commute the sentences of our guys. Because just like President Trump said, and please, if you're watching this, if you end up watching this, please send this to Ed Martin, the Weaponization Committee, Donald Trump, everybody and anybody in D.C. that has any say over this. They need to hear the words of Dana Nessel, and then they need to hear our words that we're not going to let this stand. We are not terrorists. We have never supported ISIS. We have never supported Al Qaeda. When protests and riots were going on, our militia did the American thing, not the thing that the media reports, not the thing that the politicians want, but they actually did the American thing in regards to the Constitution and went down there and protected everyone's rights, making sure that nobody's rights were being violated and that their state didn't go to hell over political discourse.